Grüß euch meine Freunde und willkommen zu einer Bonusfolge von ARK SURVIVAL ASCENDED Extinction. Und zwar mit der großen und letzten Geschichte von Bob. Ich bin's, der Gamerjäger, Anführer der Warriors of ARK, und das hier ist mein Freund Finn. Und ich sage mal, wir hören sich mal Bobs Geschichte an. Nachdem wir die Erde gerettet haben und was seine Ansichten waren. Finn hat gegrüßt. Alles klar, los geht's.
Ah, there you are. Was wondering where you two got off to.
Yeah.
Well, don't you want to hear about how me and your old man saved the world? The first world, I mean. Earth? Santiago's told you about Earth, right?
Yeah, but Dad's not like he was in your stories, okay? Now he's just this mean guy who lies to everyone and keeps stuff from us.
Look, kid, being chief's all about making hard choices. I know I'd never want that job.
You'd make better choices, and you wouldn't destroy what everyone wants.
Everyone?
Okay, what I wanted.
Listen, I get that you're mad at him now. Santiago was there for your Uncle Bob when it counted. Take it from a guy who's been in his fair share of firefights. Having someone who's got your back is worth all the aggravation. Well, there's some folks who never find their people. It ain't easy trying to survive out there all by your lonesome.
I guess.
Now, where was I? Oh yeah. So it survived everything else, just to wind up in a high-octane chrome-knuckle junkyard dogfight over the last scraps on Earth.
Okay, yeah!
After all we'd gone through to get back to Earth, it was a real kick in the gut to see how dead the place was. I hadn't been there since WW2, but we were seeing what was left after the final war.
Oh.
We got there too late to save anybody. Everything was in ruins, and there was no one around but ghosts.
Ooh, that's awful. So what did you do?
At that point, not much else left to do, except dig in and try and start over. But at least we wouldn't have to do that from scratch. See, the people around at the end left a lot of salvageable junk behind for us. And like they say, one man's trash.
Is another person's trash?
Now that we had set up base camp, our little tribe of misfits realized we were gonna need a chief. Naturally, everyone turned to me first, but I nipped that idea in the bud real quick. I told them thanks, but no thanks.
I still think you'd be great at it.
Thanks, doll. But honestly, I just didn't want the headaches that come with that job. Had enough responsibility in the army back in my day. No one else seemed to want it either. Maybe that's why they held the vote while your dad was, chopping logs. Once your dad was head honcho, he decided to put everyone to work, scrounging the ruins for scrap. Gave us a whole shopping list of stuff to find for him. Said he wanted to build a faster way to get around. We weren't sure yet how safe we were, even inside the city walls, or what was left of him. So, he sent us out in twos. I got paired up with the Beast Queen, who wasn't much fun to be around after we lost Diana. And I'm sure she wasn't happy getting stuck with me either. After scavenging a while, we found a fountain that was still working somehow. And I said, maybe we should name the park around it for her pilot friend. That didn't exactly cheer her up, though I think she liked having somewhere to lay flowers and remember her good buddy.
I like that too.
Around that time, your old man took me with him on a scouting mission into the city ruins. We hiked up ramp after ramp until it must have been halfway to the sky. From up there, we could make out broken domes across the wasteland, with floating towers just like the ones on the ARKs. While we were watching, there was this loud noise and something came crashing down out in the wastes. I could see the gears turning in Santiago's head before he finally spoke up.
That slowed down before it landed. Supply drop, maybe. Let's ride out and take it.
Not bad, but he sounds a little meaner. Or a lot meaner.
Yeah, well, just be glad you're not gonna hear my Helena. Aussies with their funny accents. And don't even get me started on those Kiwis. Sheesh. Wasn't long before your dad had a whole machine shop up and running where he could start putting together his new toys. For a guy who keeps ending up in charge of people, I swear, Santiago was always happiest with a welding torch in his hands.
Guess I've never seen him happy then.
Oh, no, look, kid, I didn't mean that.
So, what was Dad building with all that scrap you salvaged?
All-terrain vehicles, he called them. Low-slung four-wheelers built for speed and war. So your dad and me left the city walls and set out across the wastes to see what had been falling out of the sky. Those jumped-up go-karts of his could really move. I mean, I was hanging on for dear life, while Santiago laughed his butt off. Luckily, it was him behind the wheel, though, because one of those supply drops came crashing down, smack right in front of us.
Yikes.
When we tried prying the thing open, it trapped us inside some kind of force field, along with a bunch of crazy local wildlife.
There were still animals left alive?
If you could call that living. Poor critters were all messed up from the poisons out in the wastes, and they didn't much appreciate us.
Wie er auf einmal da so hockt, so wie der Vin Diesel aus Fast and the Furious.
Wasn't easy, but Santiago and I eventually managed to fight our way through that whole pack of freaks and open up the supply drop. Inside was enough of that tech stuff to make your dad grin like it hit the jackpot. We crammed all we could fit into the trunk.
Are you sure that was my dad with you?
Yeah, it was him all right, and he said we're all gonna be okay, as long as those tech supplies keep crashing to Earth.
Yeah, like I said, doesn't sound like him.
But all our thoughts of long, easy lives went away real quick when we got our first look at old King Titan. Once we'd seen King Titan, we knew people weren't ever going to be in charge of a world with monsters that size stomping around. Your old man got his war wagon in gear and kept his foot on the gas until we were back inside the city walls.
Must have been huge if it scared Dad.
We'd never seen anything like it. Before we got back to camp, Santiago pulled over and made me swear not to tell anyone yet. He wanted time to come up with a new secret weapon, something big enough to go toe-to-toe with that Titan. I just nodded along and smiled, even though I knew we were all done for. Santiago picked a funny place to park and run his war plan by me on our way back to camp. I pointed out the flowers by the fountain and told him the Beast Queen, Mei Yin, had been leaving him in memory of Diana. That was when he told me he missed Diana himself. Even though they'd been on opposite sides of the last World War, the big guy seemed to have some real deep feelings after all.
Wait, they knew each other in their first life?
Yeah, kid. It almost seems like some people are meant to meet up again. Been thinking, maybe we're all here on this new world today for some reason like that.
Dad does always say, every day's another chance to do better. So, what was Dad's secret weapon to beat the Titan?
Well, he used all the scrap and tech we salvaged to build these skyscraper-sized battle bots. He called them mechs. And it turned out Santiago was one of the people best suited to fight inside those things, along with Mei Yin and, surprise, surprise, Diana.
Diana got brought back again? How?
To make a long, confusing story short, Little Miss Prof became all superpowered using the ARK tech and decided to, Santiago called it, respawn Diana for one last hell of a fight. And so, with the band back together again at the very end, how could we lose? It was game on.
So it worked? You really did it?
I did have a little help. Actually, your dad. Well, he paid the big price to save everyone.
You mean he died there?
That's right, kid. As much as I like to take credit, your dad's the bona fide hero here. The real deal. When the chips were down and things looked real bad, Santiago never gave an inch.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he's kind of the strong, silent type. No Jimmy Cagney, that's for sure.
All these secrets. Why couldn't he just tell me?
Well, that's just the thing, kid. Nobody knows why we're all here now on this new world, when we were there before on Earth. I think, well, I better not tell you my crackpot ideas. But your dad's been trying to protect you until we figure out what the heck's going on here. Anyhow, those are the kind of tough calls a chief's gotta make.
I wish you'd have been chief instead. You might have let me use tech to bring my mom back.
Aw, kid. I didn't know your mom. But your dad, I'm sure he knows what she'd have wanted.
You knew my mom, dummy. Diana.
Oh. Oh. Oh, wow.
And I'm gonna bring her back. You'll see. I'm gonna find a way. No matter what.
Tja, und das war jetzt Bobs große Geschichte. Die letzte von ihnen. Wer weiß, ob wir wieder mal von ihnen hören werden. Denn es ist ja gestatten, Pop True Tales. Also quasi waren das eigentlich erfundene Geschichten. Weil immerhin haben wir das zu Ende gebracht, was Santiago und Helena angefangen haben. Haben wir zu Ende gebracht. Wir haben den Alpha King Titan besiegt und somit die Erde gerettet. Und ich sage mal, so, war's das auch mit ARK SURVIVAL ASCENDED Extinction. Und ich bedanke mich nochmal fürs Zusehen. Und wenn euch dieses Video gefallen hat, würde ich mich über einen Daumen nach oben freuen, über ein Abo und über einen Kommentar würde ich mich ebenfalls sehr freuen. Wir sehen uns bei einem anderen Spiel wieder, meine Freunde. Und tschüss.